Over a period of 2 years that I was at Buckingham Correctional Center under one particular warden, 3 of the people who came to visit me were strip searched, and another one was denied access to visit. So this was all part of this warden's plan because he said he was going to stop all drugs and all contraband from coming in the compound. But the crazy thing is, under his watch, there were more drugs and more phones and more everything than I had ever seen before. So what that meant was he would call the K-9 officers to be there every weekend they could. So sometimes 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 weekends a month. To give you a comparison, before this warden, they might be there every 2 or 3 months, but he wanted them there every weekend possible. What that meant is every visitor who came in had to then walk by a K-9 who would alert or not alert. The problem is they were alerting on 10 or 15 people a day. So 10 or 15 people Saturday, 10 or 15 people Sunday, and then the choice was, you will subject to a strip search or you will never be able to visit your son or your father or your brother or your friend ever again. Not like a week or a month, but never again. So people were essentially blackmailed into being strip searched, right? Because it was never see your family member again or subject to the strip search. But the crazy thing is they weren't finding drugs. So 10 or 15 people Saturday, 10 or 15 people Sunday, the same thing the next weekend, yet they continued to use these dogs alerting to justify strip searching free people, like not prisoners, but free people, because they said the dogs were alerting and therefore there was evidence. But if the dogs are consistently alerting and nothing is being found, there is a problem. Like there is no evidentiary chain. There is no reasonable, it's insane. So anyways, this ended up being a much bigger deal, which I'll get into later. But first was my 85-year-old grandfather. So here's a man who clearly is not bringing drugs in, been teaching adult Sunday school his whole life, like the freaking paragon of whatever. And he's being strip searched. So they take him in there and he can barely, get undressed and he has to squat and cough in front of them. And then after that, they said, well, Mr. Day, we're sorry, you still can't have a contact visit, but we'll let you sit behind the glass. So you go into a room which has 4 panels side by side of plexiglass. Now there used to be holes in the wall, like little grates where you could talk through, but those have been painted over, so there's literally no way to talk except to yell through the plexiglass, which doesn't work very well. So my 85-year-old grandfather was already very hard of hearing, was already struggling, so we're essentially sitting there across from each other. I'm angry and frustrated and feeling powerless that they just strip searched this 85-year-old man and made him squat and cough. And then I can't even give him a hug. I can't even tell him I'm sorry because he cannot hear the things that I'm saying because this was their idea of preventing whatever. So this also happened to a woman I was involved with. It also happened to a friend of mine. It just didn't make any sense. And it got to the point that they were strip searching children. And finally, there's a New York Times article on this. They ordered the strip search of a child without the parent's consent, which they didn't find anything, by the way. Like, even though they alerted, they didn't find anything on the child. So they subjected this child to a traumatizing experience for no reason, because the dogs were not accurate. It was completely insane. So when they did that child, thankfully that kind of changed the policy. The captain who ordered the strip search was fired. The warden was kind of moved to another compound. He wasn't fired, which I thought was completely insane, but they stopped having the dogs every weekend and they stopped having all of these false alerts. But it's just an example of the way that we punish people who are associated with prisoners. Like, we can sidestep the whole question about punishment or rehabilitation. If the question is punishment, right? Well, at least we should punish the prisoner, right? Like, not their family and not their friends and not the people in their lives, because we want them to support them, right? Like, we want to punish this person, but we want them to get out and be successful. If we're traumatizing their parents and giving them legitimate reasons to be angry, if we're traumatizing their friends or their grandfathers or whoever, you're giving them legitimate reasons to be angry and not believe in the system and not change because they're getting punished for not bringing drugs in. They might as well bring drugs in. You know what? I cannot tell you how many guys used to tell me that. So we have a system that, again, is punishing not only the people in prison, but the people who are coming in, and we're doing it under the justification of this fear-mongering of there are too many drugs or it's too dangerous. And this continues today. Like, I don't understand the mindset. If we have a drug problem in prison, you know the best thing we could do? Like, provide counseling or treatment? Like, shouldn't we look at the source? I think we've seen for years and years that the war on drugs does not work. And militarizing it in prison with strip searches and strip cells and all the things they do hasn't changed anything. You still have people overdosing. You still have people falling out. You still have people smuggling drugs. It is what it is. And at the same time, I understand people say, well, they should just strip search all the staff. Well, the staff would all quit. Like, they already don't want to work there. They're already understaffed. They're already underpaid. They're already overworked. And sure, you do have staff that bring drugs in, but it's not all of them. And they basically have said, like, if you make us strip search every day, we're going to quit. So we're in this catch-22 where we know it's coming in through staff. We know it's coming in through drones. We know it's getting thrown over the fence. We know all these things are happening, but the only thing we're focusing on is this false idea that it is only coming through visitors and that we can stop that by bringing drug dogs that apparently don't alert properly and punishing a bunch of old men and young women and children. Like, it doesn't make sense. So as we rethink what punishment should be about or what prison should be about, we need to also think about the effect on the visitors, the family members, but also about the guards. Because regardless of what we want to say in this picture, the guard who had to strip search my 85-year-old grandfather was not happy. The guard who had to strip search that little girl, and let me tell you real quick, there was one guard who was ordered to strip search that little girl, and she said, no, like, I will not do that. That is not okay. That is illegal. That is immoral. I will not. And that woman was a hero. Like, we all loved her. We would have done anything for her. She is absolutely an example of what somebody who does the right thing, even in a difficult situation, because she thought she was going to get fired. And she didn't care, because she was like, I don't care if I get fired. I'm going to do the right thing. The woman who did the strip search, she caught a lot of crap. Every time she came on the unit, guys would call her a child molester or say she's a rapist or, like, give her crap. And she did not do the right thing, but I understand. I mean, she needs this job. She's probably a single mother. She's probably struggling to pay the bills. She lives in an economically disadvantaged place, and this job is the only opportunity she has. So in that moment, she was thinking, hey, I gotta feed my kids, and I gotta pay my bills. And it doesn't make what she did right, but I understand it. So we have guards who are putting in these situations, guards who are not feeling good about the things they're doing or they're being asked to do. This doesn't help anybody. This doesn't keep society safer. It doesn't keep people from overdosing because overdoses increased during the pandemic. Like, it's just a crazy system, and I really wish we would stop and have a conversation about it.